from the studios of AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and airing on WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk where facts matter. Welcome to The Gailey Show, the only daily LGBTQ radio news and talk show in the United States. I'm your host, John Parker, in studio with my executive producer, Jim Pounds.
Hey, all.
And Fridays are the day that we step back from the news, and obviously there's a lot of heavy things that are going on right now in Minneapolis. And please, stay tuned for the Matt McNeil Show, which comes on right after us for the latest of the headlines and what is happening and the best progressive analysis of the state of Minnesota right now. But we take Fridays to look at culture and entertainment because we believe there is truth that needs to be expressed in culture and entertainment, and particularly that which is queer or queer in expression. And so we wanted to highlight a couple of shows for you today that are happening in the Twin Cities, particularly because we also need to support the arts right now, because there is life in the arts and we need to be in community particularly, which is why we're not talking about film today. We're talking about theater, bringing people together. So in the second half hour of the show, we're going to talk about a production of I Love You, You're Perfect, Now Change, which is at Inver Grove Heights. But up first, 10,000 Things in St. Paul, Minnesota has the mission to awaken the creative spirit of audiences and artists by bringing essential and exceptional theater to people from all backgrounds and life experiences. Opening February 4th is their production of Men on Boats, which is absolutely not what it sounds like. Joining us from the show is one of the actors, Karen Weiss Thompson. Karen has been performing on stage and film for over 30 years, from Shakespeare to Neil Simon, and now to The Gailey Show. Hello, Karen. Welcome to The Gailey Show.
Glad to be here.
All right. So the title is Men on Boats. Let's start with an easy question then, but it's not Men on Boats, or is it? What is the show about, Karen? Tell our audience.
Well, it's history. It's an actual historical event told from the perspective of people who were and have been marginalized instead. It's an entire cast, including women, non-binary, trans men, and people of color, like everyone who's been marginalized and didn't get to tell the story.
And the story is an expedition
exploring the Grand Canyon.
Right.
Right.
It actually happened.
It actually happened. 1869.
Wow.
Yeah. Lake Powell. This is that Powell who led the expedition.
Wow.
Got it.
And Karen, I'm going to ask you a question. Karen and I have been on, full disclosure, we've been together on stage 4 or 5 times, something like that. We've played
or more.
Partners,
brother and sister.
Brother and sister. We've done just about everything that's legal to do.
I think you even killed me in a show once.
Oh, that's
oh my
right.
gosh.
Well, that was an outlier. But Karen, there's a lot of people that are respected in theater, but you're one of the people that's beloved, in my opinion. You're the people that work with you know they've done something special, right? When they work with you, I think people would say that. So I'm trying to stay objective as best I can. But in this show, do you play one character or 25?
This time I'm only playing one.
Okay.
Normally with 10,000 Things, especially if you're doing a Shakespeare or something, you're playing multiple characters. But I'm just playing one.
Just one?
Just
wow.
one.
Okay. Because everybody is, I assume, because are you literally in a boat the whole time?
Not the whole time,
okay.
But we reimagine how you could be on a boat in different ways on a very nasty river in uncharted territory. And there are 2 actors that do play 2 roles, but mostly everyone in the show is single character.
Right. Well, when I heard about this, I guess my first thought was, what a perfect show for 10,000 Things, because it's taking something and turning it on its head, side.
Right.
It's not a straightforward reimagining of the same old thing we've seen a million times. It's always brand new with 10,000 Things. So is there anything about this show in particular that is more challenging because of its sort of unconventional nature, or are you doing it sort of straight up? Do you know what I mean? You're playing it
I think
attitudinally.
there's a very strong approach of finding the humor, because I think in today's world, laughter is so important.
Yep.
And when there's joy, we listen with a more open heart and open mind.
Mhm.
So there is a really great balance of that, but it is still a story about a culture of people that just ignored the people that were here first.
Right. Right.
And looking at it from a different perspective. And in terms of just the logistics, imagine 8 people trying to fake the chandelier falling in Phantom of the Opera. That's a little bit what it's like trying to look like you're sailing a boat over rapids.
Yeah. Well, you'd said I think just did a run through, and that you were kind of exhausted by it. So I imagine it's a run through. It's a workout.
It is, especially Jim, you and I have known each other, 30 years. It gets harder when you get older.
Yeah. I like doing Anne Frank, where we could lay in bed most of the time upstairs in our little bedroom.
Yes, but then we would giggle and miss our cues.
I know. So there's the downside. But this sounds like a real workout, and everybody in the cast probably, I mean, it's interesting because it's like, it's not a traditional play in some ways, right? It's an unconventional telling of well, it was still a remarkable story, what they did, but it's still an unusual telling.
Can I ask? I want to unpack that a little more, because I've read part of the script, and I know the playwright was very specific about that. She was like, I do not want cis men to be playing any of these roles, and so the characters are historical folks, as far as we can tell. I don't know if all of them were, or some of them are like sort of sketches of a bunch of different people put together. But
no,
so
they're all in there. Yeah.
They're all okay. So they're all historical people, and the guys are going down there, an expedition, I think sanctioned by the U.S. government, to go down there, discover and literally name the things and claim it for the United States of America. But and all the people playing the roles are not cis white men. So talk to me then about bringing that viewpoint. Like, what does that bring to this story? Maybe particularly at the time that we're living in, where we have an occupational force that's going in and claiming stuff.
Well, in a world that on a dime, the narrative gets claimed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And how quickly we choose who we're going to believe is telling the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're dealing with history, sometimes it takes decades to get the marginalized perspective on what actually happened. And it's not about rewriting history or changing history. It's having historical background to reflect and say, what were we thinking? And as well as when you have women, trans men, non-binary people, all those that have been marginalized by society over decades, our lived life experiences are vastly different from the cis world. And so you bring that into the character, not with judgment, but just merely your life experiences change how you approach the character. And we'll see a bad choice or a good choice differently than a bunch of men playing it. And, you know, if you want that story, there's a 1960 movie with Brian Keith and James Drury that you're welcome to check out.
If you just can't conceive of it any other way.
Right. Yeah. Men Who Dared, something like that. But so this is a different version.
We all know that version of it. I think when you hear Men on Boats, you immediately go to, okay, I get a sense of what this story is going to be. I'm curious then what came up for you seeing this history during the rehearsal process and going, okay, I know all this happened. I know that all the dudes did it, but now watching us do it, what came up for you viewing that history through the lens of rehearsing this show?
Well, it's interesting because for me, approaching a character, I have to immerse myself in that story and the text of the story. So I very much look to the history of Walter Henry Powell. to inform who I thought the character would be. And I'm playing that character as honestly as I can, but with my lived life experiences.
Mhm.
And I think after the show's over, in reflection, it will be easier to look back and say, oh, do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
when I'm in the process, it's like, this is who I am right now.
Yep. I mean, that's tricky. That's a tightrope.
It is compartmentalization, which is not
Yep.
always good, but you know, you got to do the job, right?
Yep. Totally. Well, and tell us about the company. Are these any of them new to 10,000 Things? Is this
There's a
lot of
number of
people
new
you know,
people.
or-
Yep. And yet there's, you know, you've got quite a few veterans as well. George Keller, Elise Longier, and of course, Joy Dolo, our fearless leader,
Right.
has been in a number of 10,000 Things show. And then we have this amazing group of new people that bring so much excitement, and listen to the old guard say, oh, you need to watch out for this and you need to watch out for that. And you know, they can see you when you do that, right? Like, oh. So that's fun.
Yeah. Because 10,000 Things is such a unique, I've never been in a 10,000 Things show, but I can imagine your, you know, performances that are not public are very unique. I don't know if you can characterize those in some way for people that don't know.
Well, you know, there are no lights, there's costumes. It's always performed in the round.
Right.
And we can always see the audience all the time. And I'm looking, we maybe need to pause.
I just have to fit in a quick commercial break right here. We're talking with Karen Weiss Thompson from 10,000 Things production, upcoming production of Men on Boats, which opens February 4th in St. Paul. So next Wednesday. We're also going to talk about, when we come back from the break, there are a number of community hosted events where they're going to basically go on tour with the productions. We'll talk more with Karen about Men on Boats when we come back. You are listening to The Gailey Show on AM 950 Radio, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and WCPTA 20, Chicago's progressive talk where facts matter. More after this very quick break.
We don't have to get
Welcome back to The Gailey Show. I'm John Parker. It is coming up on the bottom of the hour. I'm here with my executive producer, Jim Pounds. It is Friday, which we focus on culture and entertainment. And specifically this week, we're talking about theater because we want to bring people together right now, particularly in the Twin Cities, to laugh and cry and learn different perspectives on history, which is why we're particularly talking about Men on Boats, which opens February 4th at 10,000 Things Theater in St. Paul, Minnesota. That noise you just heard is Jim holding up the postcard to folks who are watching on YouTube. You can check it out there. We are here with Karen Weiss Thompson, who is a member of the company. And Karen, before we get too much further, because I want to make sure that we talk about this. So there's the performances, which start February 4th at 10,000 Things. But then there are also some community hosted events where you're essentially going on tour. So can you tell us what those dates are going to be and where you're going to be?
I can't, because I don't have that information in front of me.
Oh.
He might have it on his postcard.
I do, yeah, because really what the public cares about are the ones they can go to. So
right. And there are some public performances in community spaces.
Oh, I see.
Like when we perform at incarceration facilities or a lot of our retirement centers or high schools, those are closed performances just for those communities.
Right. So if you want to buy tickets, what I have in front of me are Open Book is one place that they have 4 performances. Hennepin Avenue Methodist Church on Groveland Avenue. It looks like there's about 6 performances. The Capri Theater on Broadway, a couple of performances, and 825 Arts, which is on University Avenue. They have about 4 performances running between February 19th and March 15th. And I'm telling you, if you have never seen Karen Weiss Thompson, this is a demand. You go to the show, you will enjoy the show. It'll be lovely. Joy Dolo's great. You'll love all these people. You'll love the play. But if you haven't seen Karen Weiss Thompson on a stage, that is your obligation right now. So pick up the phone.
I want to. So I want to
Texting
get a little
the
bit. Jim is obviously a fan of his longtime, I guess you could say, work wife.
Yeah.
old.
I hate to say this publicly, but I'm going to move into your house. I'm telling my partner here on the
Oh.
air that I'm just going to move in with you.
Wow.
So
I see how it is. Okay, Karen, we're gonna have to talk off here. All right. I'm curious a little bit more about the history that is being covered in this show, because we've got sort of the macro level here. Okay, we got a bunch of guys from the U.S. government that are going down the Colorado River, down the canyon,
Yeah.
and they're discovering things. But give us a little bit more, maybe through your character, about what your character is specifically doing on this particular expedition. How do you say it? Expedition.
Well, specifically, and it's not, this is more history than text of the play, is my brother is leading the expedition and he's missing an arm. And we were both at the Battle of Shiloh. And I predominantly go along to make sure he's okay.
Oh.
But Walter's a little off. He was in a prisoner of war camp during the war for over 10 months. And they said he was never right afterwards. So what we
And this is your character, not your brother. Okay.
Right. So what we now know is PTSD.
right.
At the time they didn't. They referred to him as being somewhat deranged at times.
Fun.
So those are all things that inform who the character is, but his reason for being on this journey is his brother. He's there for his brother. And in that way, I think it's something we can all relate to, is why do we do things that are dangerous and scary? In some cases, it is to protect someone we love.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's a really interesting wrinkle. I mean, I was thinking historical stuff, but that's a family connection. That's a really interesting
Mhm.
extra layer to play. So
It's nice. Yeah.
And how are they? So as they're going along, I guess I don't want to spoilers, but what are some conflicts that they run into along the way? I imagine the rafting and getting through the
Right.
Colorado
You
River.
don't know where you're going. Horrible rapids. Now, in reality, when they had to portage, these boats weighed over 800 pounds each. So it's not like portaging a canoe.
Right.
But
Wow.
and where they could, and as they got deeper into the canyon, those places became fewer and far between. And then there's the waterfalls, and then there's the running out of food, and then there's accidents that happen, and you lose some supplies. So you're dealing with all of those things, where in the classic 10,000 Things mold, how do we demonstrate this with just actors?
Right.
Just bodies.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's been really fun.
Yeah.
And but you have to bring your imagination to a 10,000 Things show. That's part of the fun.
Right.
Part of awakening the creative spirit.
Exactly.
I am such a fan of when productions, and I know this is the playwright saying y'all are going to do this, but I always loved, particularly with Shakespeare, I love productions where they mess around with gender in Shakespeare, and you have like an all-female cast of, Twelfth Night, or you have an all-male cast. I'm thinking of Private Romeo, which was a film with another Minnesota connection, actually.
Yes.
Private Romeo with Seth Numerick, I believe, is playing Romeo in that, but it's a more contemporary take, but all of the roles are played in Romeo and Juliet by guys, and just something comes out of it that you weren't expecting when you watch it, and just all these new layers of history and humanity come to front when productions mess around casting with gender and sexuality. And so I think this is just going to be such a special production. Is there a particular moment that is a favorite of yours, Karen, without giving away any spoilers?
I do, and it's because of where we are in the world right now.
Yeah.
Walter has the line where he says, "We save each other."
Mm-hmm.
And I've been hearing that from our community
Yep.
so much over the last several weeks. And when I said it today, it just
Yeah.
so deeply resonated.
Yeah.
And I think our audiences will hear that too.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm glad you're doing this. I wish you were under better circumstances and all of that, but I'm glad you're doing it. And it sounded like when I read the postcard or read the press release or something, I thought, well, that's the perfect show for 10,000 Things. So
It is. And like I said, it's a serious story. It's an actual historical story, but it is a lot of fun and has a lot of joy in it. And I think it uplifts the spirit while also giving us something to think about and chew on.
The show is Men on Boats. It's at 10,000 Things in St. Paul. For tickets and more information, you can go to 10,000things.org. Karen, this has been such a delight. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about I Love You, You're Perfect, Now Change with one of its actors, Joe Rux. You are listening to The Gailey Show on AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk. Coming to you from the studios of AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and airing on WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk. Welcome back to The Gailey Show. I'm John Parker. It is 33 minutes after the hour. I'm here in the studio with my executive producer, Jim Pounds. It is Fridays where we look at culture and entertainment, and particularly right now because that is a life-giving thing that we humans do, and we want to be in community with each other right now, especially in Minnesota now more than ever. So we are looking at two productions that are happening in February this month. The second one we're looking at today is the Chameleon Theater Circle's production of I Love You, You're Perfect, Now Change, which is going to be at the Fine Arts Building in Inver Grove Community College, opening on February 13th. And joining us now from the show is Joe Rux. Joe, hello. Welcome to The Gailey Show.
Hello. Thank you very much. Really excited to be here.
All right. So for folks who don't know what the musical is about, which, you know, for the three of people that don't know what it is, tell us about the show and your production of it, how you're bringing it to 2026.
Sure. So, when people ask what the show is about, it's a collection of songs and scenes. And so it's not like a traditional musical or traditional play that has a through line and a plot, and it has a climax, and then a denouement and all the rest of it. It's a show of scenes and songs. Sometimes it's just scenes, sometimes it's just song, and then there's a combination of the two at the same time. So it's a two-acter. There is an intermission, but it's all scenes. And then basically, it says in the promos that we all play over 20 characters. But it's like when you say the land of 10,000 lakes, but it's actually the land of 25,000 lakes. I think it's actually more than 20 characters.
Okay.
So in the whole show.
Is it closer to 100 characters that you're playing? Or?
I think it's actually within 50, 54. Don't quote me on it.
No.
I can't be sure because still in rehearsals right now, it's all a blur. It's like I run around the corner and like, wait, I asked the stage manager, wait, who am I this time?
What's happening?
Yeah. So
especially since you're not playing, it's not a through line like you say. So then you really got to be on your toes.
Exactly right. Well, and backstage right now, we have a wonderful person in our cast who mapped it out. So we have like a big piece of paper that says this scene here, this scene here, this scene here. So when you run off stage, you're like, okay, where are we? Oh, that's where we are. Okay. Oh, it's that one. And then you realize you have to sprint across backstage to get entry from the other side. So it is very fast paced.
That feels like looking at the departures and arrivals screen at an airport.
Absolutely. And I mean, I'm hoping at some point it becomes muscle memory, but right now, every time I go off stage, I'm checking that out going, okay, that's what's next. Got it. Okay.
I feel like the title, I think people know the title if they don't realize the show. And I feel like there's music also within the show that people may just like know about without having actually seen the show. Can you give us a little bit about the vignettes then, the stories that are being told within the musical?
Yeah, well, they really, really run the gamut. So you're getting all sorts of types of scenes, types of songs. For the most part, I would call it a musical comedy, but in the same sense, there's also some touching moments as well. So you're really getting it all on the stage at the same time. And so it's all little vignettes, and it's all about love, the good side, the bad side, and everywhere in between. Foibles of people in love, and it's not necessarily a timeline, but it definitely starts off with new love. It goes through courtship, it goes through dating, it goes through marriage, and there's a lovely scene that kind of wraps up the show of two older people who are they meet each other at a funeral. And so it really runs the gamut. What I really love, I mean, it's what I love about theater in general, but what I really love about this show in particular is that for theater, what's so amazing about it, and that it happens live, is that it's a chance to see yourself on stage. It's a chance to relate and see and say, that's me. And like you were saying earlier, it really brings a sense of community within that audience itself, but also kind of a universal community where, oh, we all go through this. We're all doing this. We all are dating. We all are, so it really allows you to see yourself on stage. And I'm telling you, in this show, there is something in here where an audience an audience member is gonna nod in recognition. They're gonna laugh in recognition because it's very funny. They're gonna be touched in the same way that the characters on stage are. So what I really love about this menagerie of scenes is that it really does give the opportunity for an audience member to see themselves on stage.
And this would seem to be and why it's timed this way, the perfect Valentine's Day sort of.
Absolutely.
At least if you have a stable relationships only, maybe you should show up for this, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's funny, it's witty. There's a little bit of saucy humor in there, so we definitely want to say it's for 16 or older.
Right.
But it's just kind of, hinted at. It's nothing it's not extreme, but but like you said, it's great for couples because I can see couples looking at each other and going, did they record something that we said last week? Because it's exactly the same thing. Yeah. Exactly. And so it's definitely a Valentine's Day outing. Right. So definitely go out to dinner, have a few cocktails, come see the show. And like I said, you're going to recognize yourself on stage, all about the ups and downs of love. It's just, I still, in scenes that I have in the show, I'm still laughing. I break and I fall out of character. Like last night at last night's rehearsal, somebody did something that just tickled me. And it took me, we had to stop because we had to take a moment for Joe to collect himself. So, yeah.
What's the space like at Inverhills Community College? I don't know that I've ever been in there before.
Yeah, so I would say it's a medium to smaller size college theater. So, I don't know for sure, but I'm going to say it's at least 100, probably 150. I'm totally guessing on that. So it's big enough to have the excitement of a audience that size, but it's also intimate enough. So, if you're sitting in the audience and you think you're just going to blend into the background, we can see you. We can absolutely see
everything you're doing. Yeah.
Everything. Yes. But what that intimate space also does is gives us that energy from the audience very, very directly. Yeah. So it's a little bit of smaller theater, but that's part of what I really, really like about it. And it's interesting because the backstage portion, the theater, the onstage theater itself and the backstage is probably as big as the audience of the house and everything. So it's a really gem of a space. Yeah. I've been around a long time and I've performed in some interesting places. So, this is one of those spaces that is just a gem of a space. So Inver Groves Community College, really blesses Chameleon Theater with use of the theater. And you'll be able to see it. You'll be able to see it when you go there.
That's great. And not a bad seat in the house.
Not a bad seat in the house.
With that kind of size. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Yep,
That's great.
that's correct.
Have you been to the theater there, John? I know you've been. I've been to Inver Hills. I just don't remember. If
I've been to Inver Hills a couple of times. I used to work at Normandale Community
Yeah.
College, and I worked at St. Paul College in St. Paul. So I'm a big fan of the community college experience. I would only ever work at community colleges and higher ed. I just absolutely love the mission of community colleges, and I love that you're having this partnership with them. Is that like an official partnership that Chameleon has with Inver, or because it seems like it's a long-standing partnership that you all have together?
It is a long-standing partnership. They've been a partner. They've been in partnership for a really long time. Official, I'm not sure. It may be on a production basis. I'm not exactly sure. But what is really great too is that community college is really open because we have a traditional show. So I Love You, You're Perfect Now Change is a traditional show. But what Chameleon Theater also does, and I was involved in it this last time around, is they have play festivals, new play festivals. And so I was part of the 10-minute play festival. So they have submissions for scripts, and they get scripts from literally all over the world. And then within Chameleon Theater Circle, they choose the plays. So I was part of the 10-minute play festival. There's also, there on a Saturday, there was, I think, 4 10-minute plays, maybe 5, but an audience is invited, and the playwrights, if they're local or if they can get there, are invited. Wow. which is unheard of, that you get absolutely, immediate feedback from an audience, and then they have talkbacks. Wow. After that too. So that's what I really love about Chameleon Theater Circle, but also Inver Grove Community College, that they have these kind of things. It's such an opportunity for a playwright and local actors too, right? Because it's really great because it's not a huge time commitment. But you still get that fix of live theater. Right. And it was really exciting. I think we had 2 playwrights in the 10-minute play festival that were able to be there for it. So, the audience were asking questions, but I, as an actor, I'm like, tell me, where did that come from? What spurred the idea? How are you this funny? I aspire to write like that, like you do. So it was really, and that's really food for an actor, because it's not very often that you get to be able to pick the brain of the playwright themselves. Right. So that's what I love about that community college, is that they're really a great host for this type of traditional theater, but also new, lively, exciting theater too.
Right. That's great.
We are talking with Joe Rux, who is performing in I Love You, You're Perfect Now Change, production by Chameleon Theater Circle at Inver Grove Community College. Their fine arts building opens on February 13th. I'm curious, Joe. So we're living through a moment, which is a light way of putting it right now. And I'm curious about, are there any works of theater that you would find solace in, that we should raise up right now as ways of processing the moment that we're in, when they're not going to see I Love You, You're Perfect, No Change?
Right. Yes, that's number 1 on the priority list. I will tell you that a week ago or a week and a half ago, I went to the Guthrie and saw Somewhere, which is about an immigrant family in the 1950s who are living in New York. I don't know if I'm repeating what other people have already said, stop me, but about an immigrant family who is living in New York, who is a musical theater loving family. Really loves West Side Story. It's at the time that West Side Story were filming their outside scenes in New York City. So it's a really, really lovely play unto itself, written by Matthew Lopez, who is just such a prolific writer and has some really great stuff recently too. This is one of his older plays, 2014 maybe. But the fact that it's an immigrant family, that they're living in an apartment building that gets condemned because there's progress, it's being a little bit gentrified, but it's generational, with a mother and a son and a younger daughter. So I found solace in it because it's so lovely. There's wonderful dancing in it. And I went to the talk back on that too. And it was really, you could tell that the actors on stage during the talk back were I don't know that. Maybe one of them was local, maybe one of them was from Minneapolis, but otherwise it was like from New York City or elsewhere. And they found themselves in this situation, how profound it was for them to be in this production at this time. They were very emotional about it. And they also were like, they had a lot of pride in the production in that it came at this time. And so it was moving to hear the talk back, and they did touch on that subject and just how, because seeing actors in a theater production, whatever, you don't normally get to talk to them unless you're like me and a big nerd and stand at the stage door. But it was really great to hear them and really hear the emotion that they had about the show.
I have to fit in a quick break here. We're going to have more with Joe Rux when we come back, talking about the production of I Love You, You're Perfect, Now Change, which opens February 13th at Inver Grove Community College, a production of the Chameleon Theater Circle. You're listening to The Gailey Show. Keep the conversation going on Blue Sky. We're at thegaileyshow.org there. You can send me your thoughts about what you like and what you think I need to be doing more of. And I've been getting a lot of those lately. Anyway, more after this very quick break. Welcome back to The Gailey Show. I'm John Parker. We're coming up on the top of the hour. Jim Pounds, my executive producer, is here in the studio with me. We're here with Joe Rux talking about the upcoming production of I Love You, You're Perfect, Now Change, which opens February 13th at Inver Hills Community College in Inver Grove. Production by the Chameleon Theater Circle. Folks, it's Friday. I can't talk anymore. But there's something I do want to talk about, Joe, because this is The Gailey Show. This production was, as I understand it, as I'm just learning, rewritten in 2018 from an original production in the early aughts. And the rewrite led to adding some queer couples.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I really find it very interesting. I also find it a little bit taxing because as I get older, it's a little bit harder to memorize. And so I always, especially with the musical, I get the cast recording and I can play it in the car on the way to work or on the way to rehearsal, and I learn it that way. This one you can't do it with because the songs are different. They're written differently, and so it's not really a matter of me just following along anymore. So that's a personal side note. But yes, they did rewrite it in 2018. And, because when I saw it in 2001, 2002, it was new, it was innovative, it was funny, it was timely. It aged well, but there were some things that didn't age so well. So that was edited. They added some songs, they took out some songs, they rearranged some lyrics. But for me, one of the most important changes that they did was they added a scene with two men, gay couple. And then there's another song of a woman singing to her wife. So the scene that I'm in with the gay couple, where our names are Frank and Frank. And we just had a baby. And a friend comes over, a single friend of ours, and it's a scene about how the two men are just really in love with their baby, just really, and it's that new baby couple that, oh, look at Frank Jr. sit there and think it's the best way a kid has ever sat in their life. And how this single friend of theirs, her name is Ashley, she comes in and wants to meet the baby, but she can't because it's sleeping, we can't disturb it. And she brings a teddy bear, and my character says, oh, that's so sweet. And I look at my husband and go make sure that the eyes don't pop off. And she says, hey, why don't you get a babysitter? Let's go out. And we're like, oh, no, we can't go out. But you know what we should do? We should, donate our sperm so you can have a baby and become. So it goes. It's one of the scene that it's just a standalone scene. There's no music in that one. But there's also another scene called Waiting, where it's about a husband and a wife, and he's waiting for her in a shoe store. There's another husband and wife, and she's waiting for the football game to get over. And then there's a wife and a wife, where one wife is waiting for her wife to get out of the bathroom because they have a party to go to, but it's taking too long. And that song is called Waiting. So it's just, and it's and I know I'm repeating myself, but it's one of those things where, hey, love is universal. It comes in all shapes and forms. It comes in the highs, the lows, the lovely, the stressful. So I think that is one of the best additions to the rewrite of the show completely, because it really it opens it up, right? You know, in my performing years, I always wanted to do a cabaret of some sort on Valentine's Day, where, you know, it was for everybody and everybody has the same experience, because love is that universal language. So I really think that was one of the most important additions to it, and funny. I mean, it's the scene with Frank. So their names are Frank and Frank Jr.
Frank Jr. Yeah,
So it's one of the funniest shows. The scenes in the show, and that's the one where I mentioned earlier that I couldn't stop laughing during a scene. It was that. So
Frank and Frank. Oh boy, Jim, have you done the show?
I have not. I'd seen a friend of mine do it, the off-Broadway production that Joe mentioned, Jonathan Rayson, who used to be a Twin Cities actor. Jonathan.
Oh, I know Jonathan.
Yeah, he did it. I don't remember. You said 2001. I saw him in it, and then went to his apartment in Brooklyn and spent the night before I flew out the next day. So we had a chance to talk about it a little bit. So I'm interested to hear that it's been updated. That's exciting.
Yeah, it's really good. And it's updated, you know, in timely ways, like their Tinder is mentioned. So it's definitely updated in, you know, to make it more pertinent to today, which I find it really interesting. I probably find it more interesting because I know what the original permutation was. And then seeing it, and just, you know, sometimes a playwright or a lyricist or whatever, it's a sacred cow, right? Their script is a sacred cow, and they don't want to change it, and they don't want to do anything to it. And sometimes that's for the best. I think it was really insightful for the lyricists, the playwrights, to update it and you know, expand it and make it new and fresh again.
And it's probably going to get performed a lot more because of that.
Right. Exactly. Yep, absolutely.
Well, if anybody, I mean, if there's any a golden cow, it's Angels in America, and Tony won't stop touching that place.
That's right. That's so it's funny. I have that right behind me. Angels in America. Yep.
Everybody should have one in their house.
Well, this has been a delight. The show is I Love You, You're Perfect. Now change. For tickets and more information, you can go to chameleontheater.org. Joe, it's so great to meet you. You're officially a friend of the show. So whenever you've got something coming up here, please come back and let us know about it so that we can chat.
That sounds great. Thank you so much.
And Break a Leg, obviously,
Thank you very much.
February 13th.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And thank you, everyone, for listening or watching today. Up next on WCPT 820 for your Chicago listeners is Democracy Now! In Minneapolis, St. Paul, it is the Matt McNeil Show. Stay tuned after that for Native Roots Radio. And then at 10 p.m. Central, step into the unknown with Greg Bakken on Ghost Box Radio. This weekend, catch up with all of the queer radio. Starting on Saturday afternoon is Pride on AM 950. So you've got the best of the Gailey Show. You've got Twin Cities Pride Amplified. You've got the Ellie Krug's new program, actually celebrating a 1-year anniversary this month, actually. And then you got the Downright Upright Show with Philip Anthony. In Chicago on Sunday at 11 a.m., it's Out Chicago with your gay best friends, Ellen Miller and Scott Duff. And until this time, Monday, keep it queer, America.
Keep it queer.